Chatting amongst ourselves, going casually reclining after doing, what did we do last night? Something happened. It was part of Beef 2018. We did 5 songs to help us unsee the future. It's happened. We're now on the other side of it.
Yeah, we're on the other side.
On the dark side of the moon.
How do you feel? What did we do again?
We
well, sips the red bush tea. Well,
that was articulate, wasn't it?
Yeah. People have been asking me the elevator pitch for this, and go. I've written a million words on this, and I still haven't got one sentence that neatly sums up what it was. But
well, the thing is that I realised that giving an experience for people that actually shakes them up.
Yes.
You can't really define that.
No.
Because you're challenging a lot of things, not just with the theme of the project, but how it's delivered. And so people at the end are like, wow, they have really left with an impression.
Yeah.
But don't quite know what to make of
it. Yeah, don't know how to get it into head.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's exactly what is needed.
Yes.
Not only for the message, but also physically, so that it starts shaking them up, so that they question things.
Yeah.
And so it's perfect.
Yeah, so it's completely fine that people didn't know how to react. And by the end, it was long enough that people had relaxed, and obviously people who know us and who get where our brains are coming from, they all got it, and so there was plenty of hugs and love and stuff. But what was really interesting, we were talking about this last night when we got in, weren't we? That to be on the stage and look back at the audience and see everybody not know how to react was weird and kind of just right. That because people were standing in front of us at sort of face level, it's just like a weird way to perform in a way because they weren't sitting down. You had all this sea of blank faces, just like that, because you're right, it kind of unnerved people physically. They didn't know how to react, so actually their faces were falling kind of slack-jawed almost, weren't they, while just taking it in. So their brains are going buzz, and their faces are going buzz. And we've got a friend, AJ, as ever you put it perfectly, what did he say to us both?
He said, oh, it was brilliant. I didn't know quite what I should be doing, like whether I should be dancing or whether I should be taking notes.
Writing this down,
writing it down.
and taking it back to my kids.
Yeah.
Which is the perfect reaction.
Yeah. And we thought perhaps we should be handing out notepads.
Yeah, that's the next bit of branded merch is notepads.
Yeah. Everybody taking notes.
Yeah.
Whilst they're
You're going to write this down, somebody.
I'll
literally.
be asking questions later.
Yeah, there'll be a comprehension test.
But what was the testimony of the audience was when Mike in the Q&A at the end, he's like, what did everybody think of it? And just immediately the whole audience went, "Rah!"
Yeah, that's a bit of a few moment, isn't it? When you go, what do you think? Mark is really good at kind of, Mark Masterson, You Are the Media, kindly got up and tried to make sense. And I think he judged, I don't want to outstand a welcome, so we didn't get into a big Q&A, but just enough so people could place themselves. And he's great at whipping up a crowd. So, was it great? But you're right, it was there ready to come out. Like people felt, at last I can react in some way. And the general vibe was great. And you said it was what last night was to the film and to the thing. It was like an introduction, really, wasn't it?
It was. It's what it was intended to be, which was just like a test piece. To like an experimental lab where we try out this concept, this thing that we've been developing over the last couple of years, and we find out stuff. And like with any experiment, sometimes there are aspects of it that don't work, but that tells us stuff. So the learning curve for this whole thing has just been vertical, which is great. I mean, you learn stuff. In a way, there was almost no point to do this and for it all to be perfect and everyone to say, yeah, that worked. What we almost needed to find out were the things that perhaps were not meshing completely well.
Walking through it.
Yeah, so we could kind of tailor it and adjust it in the future. I think we found out lots. We found out what worked, what perhaps didn't work so well, which is exactly the purpose of what we were doing last night.
How did you feel seeing Nina out front for the first time? She's out there now, our Martian artist. How did it feel for you as a filmmaker?
It was really weird because literally literally an hour before I got on the train to come down to Bournemouth the day before the event, I was still rendering.
Of course you
I
were.
was still rendering a file of the film. So the film is like the paint's still drying on the film.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's in front of a whole audience. And
Fresh.
Yeah, as fresh as it can be, basically. I mean, we literally watched a couple of clips
In the morning.
and
And that was the first time I'd seen some of the clips. I was mastering tracks. My paint was still damp as well. That morning.
Most of the paint, that stench of paint in the air, basically. It was a bit last minute. Sorry.
But that's the nature of this experimental thing.
Yeah.
But actually seeing that out, was it releasing it out to the wild?
No, it was good. It was good because sometimes films hang around a bit before they get consumed by the public. Maybe they go to a festival and they're only seen by tiny amount of people. This was nice to get it in front of people so soon after completing it, and yet it's been in my head and your head for the last 2 years, it's weird.
And it's not the whole film, of course, it's just you came up with a cunning way to show pre-scenes of The Martian Artist, the full film that we want to make for The Shape of Things to Hum. Really cunningly, and how you took us to Mars in someone's Sharon and Alex's front room in Hove is remarkable.
Necessity is the mother of invention. It really is. And so
that glove shot, man. The glove shot when she picks up the stone on the Martian. That's a thing of wonder.
I was really pleased with that. There are other department stores, other household stores you can go to, but Wilko is my favourite place to be. Very good for
I think Wilko could almost have been a sponsor to this, because Becky Cutts, who fashioned the set in amongst doing her finals, she swears by Wilko, and we went on a Wilko trip for a half.
I think we need to contact Wilko head office.
Probably do.
Anyway, I was a couple of weeks before the event. I was in the back of my mind, like yourself. There's always a bit of your brain that's kind of processing and kind of chugging away at the thing, and for me as a filmmaker, it's always it's problem solving. How do I do this? So a big one that had been stacking up in my to-do list in my brain was how do I do Mars, or bits of the surface of Mars, but specifically how do I do an astronaut's glove? Really boring NASA trivia, but an astronaut's spacesuit costs, depending on its purpose, anywhere between $5 and $8 million. They're actually
for the glove.
They're largely handmade. No, the gloves were for the whole thing, for the whole suit.
Okay.
But the gloves are tailor-made. Everything's tailor-made to fit the astronaut. There's no kind of one size fits all, which is why they're so expensive. For the actual suit itself, there are several layers, both for insulation, cooling, and protection against things like mica and meteorites if you're outside the International Space Station or something like that. So
you went to Wilko.
So I went to Wilko. But basically the question was, how do I come up with something that might look like a NASA type glove, but 20 years in the future, because this is supposed to be 2035 or thereabouts. And I was really scratching my head. I was going into sports goods stores and looking at goalkeepers' gloves. They didn't look right. I was thinking maybe I should go to a motorcycle store and get like motorcycle riders' gloves, something like that. I was thinking along those lines. Anyway, I happened to be in Wilko looking for a bag of compost, as you do, for a cave floor, which you saw in the film, and got my bag of compost from Wilko, and it sounds like I'm being sponsored by them, doesn't it? Right.
No, they basically make, now that Woolies are gone, Wilko essentially makes all the films in Britain.
So, and I just by chance, in the gardening section where the compost was, saw these gloves, these gardening gloves, and they're kind of rubber coated, and they've got these kind of lovely textured patterning on them to give you extra grip. And you know, it was like the little shaft of light coming down from the heavens.
Oh,
my God. Exactly. There was a chorus of angels just in the other aisle.
A chorus of angels and a personal dolly zoom.
Just to make it significant.
Just to make it significant. This is significant. And how did you feel as a performer then, being in the middle of it, being the face of the future in liveness? Because when Becky got in the car, Becky Cutts, who I can't sing the praises of enough for building our set, but when she got in the car and met you, went, yes, I think I recognise you from all the posters. How did it feel being here live and being in the middle of it?
I loved it. I loved the process, you know, and part of the process is like just not worrying about anything. I mean, I'm sure you probably were. You probably worried about.
No, that was a of agreement actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. No, I chose to ride, but I was saying why I felt calm was because of the people involved. So you as the central person, I just knew, whatever, if anything happened, we'd busk it on stage because I'm comfortable with you. Same with Andy with the problems, with your problem solving for filmmaking, but and on the night filming the night, and then all the others who got involved with the show. I just knew I could trust them. Becky Willis just ordering people around, proper theatre kind of manager as our production manager. I just knew I could trust her to do that. Her husband Dan turning up and mixing drinks with such sartorial kind of ease. Knew he'd boss that and they'd make a beautiful sense of it. And all the different production people like Ben and Connor who just took that off me, and because Becky found them, I knew I could trust them, and they engendered that trust themselves. And then people like Evan, Grant, I knew he'd make sense of the space and come up with something cool to fill in the gaps. Joe on the lighting, which was a new collaboration. I just knew he had a creative, open mind to be involved. So I knew again his brain would want to find solutions to our challenges. So it was a really good team. I knew I could trust. So my worries were actually low. So you're right.
Yeah. And what was amazing about it was that there's all these people, like you knew, of course you were like the core, but all these people who didn't know each other a little bit, it's like them all coming together, and like we didn't have any rehearsals.
No. This is the point. We did 5 songs to help us unsee the future with essentially no rehearsals. We did get one bash through in the afternoon, much later than I'd planned. Where we were all in the room and actually had to go through each song kind of once. So that, if that counts as a rehearsal, it was the first time we'd been in the space, the whole band together. We'd done rehearsals on Skype. I'd done a day with Nick, with Jacob, and with Pat in London. We did some great sessions in Pat's back bedroom. All the arrangements Pat did for the horns, but that was not with the rest of the band. And then Jack and David, it's the first time they played in percussion with Momo Tempo, and we had a rehearsal with them. It was just in Absolute Music a couple of weeks ago, and that was it. So no one's been in the same room.
Nobody was all together in the same room at the same time doing
the night.
That, it was incredible.
It was incredible, yeah.
And like just trusting that everybody was doing their bit all together, so that we can reach that pinnacle moment of making it happen, and everybody was 100% committed to doing it. And as creative director, you having the trust and the confidence and giving every member the freedom to really be themselves in this, that's what makes the magic.
But it was magic back to that when I could trust them, so I didn't have to be overly demonstrous. We were talking about this, weren't we, that I didn't have to keep shouting time checks, because it was all a bit of alchemy on the day where everybody brought stuff and we had good conversations with all the bits, but when trying to brief people I had to keep saying it depends, which is useless. But for a bit of experimental art, you just in the end got to trust the idea in the heads of the people that you've commissioned, because you trust why you've asked who you've asked. Then put them in a room and know they'll work around each other, and that's just what happened. It took right up to the last minute to get it to bing. We had atmosphere, but I knew we would.
It was kind of almost beyond the last minute, because you were still doing the rehearsal of the last piece. As everyone, as the audience were just waiting, literally the other side of the curtains, waiting to go in, to be let in.
I know, and that last piece,
it was tight.
It was tight, and yet with all that, we need to do it. But actually, in the end, we could have pressed the button to let people in at bang on 7 o'clock, because we did get right there. And actually, I sort of chose to just let it breathe, a little bit of anticipation for another 5 minutes. But we actually made it in the end, bang on time, within the flexibility of the afternoon. We didn't get into 1 o'clock, after 1 o'clock to start building the set.
That was tight.
It was tight, and everybody did it, because everybody, could be trusted, and everybody had enough, even though everybody was a bit confused, everybody had enough of an understanding why they were there and what they were doing to trust that it would come together, and that trust was a virtuous circle.
Well, I did that wonderful, so that time-lapse shot from the balcony, and you could actually see, that was over a course of about an hour, and you could actually see the whole thing coming together. So there was Becky starting to put the ribbons around what structures she'd built, and band members were kind of placing everything. You were moving around talking to various people, and the whole thing was literally coming together. And in the time lapse you can see that right
it's wonderful.
To the stage where the lights dim, the UV lights come up to light the tunnel, and the stage is lit, and it just sort of all did that right at the last minute. It looked fantastic, that shot back, and I think having a big part of the challenge for me is the sound of Momo tempo, because trying to get live horns and drums in with a digital mix of other instruments, you've got to have somebody you can trust on sound, and Pete Alcock has done sound a couple of times for me. He's an absolute legend, total gent. Again, was there because he was enthusiastic about the music, and just knew we could trust him. And at one point I was saying, I went out front and went, Pete, could we just sort of make maybe just the mix? And he was very gracious and went, yeah, no, we can do that. And then when we were playing again and I stepped out the front properly and listened to the front of house mix, I was going, this sounds amazing. He went, yeah. So is this what it's always sounded like? He went, yeah. Then I'll shut up and go back to trusting you. So everybody was really nice to work with, as well as knowing their stuff, as well as knowing why they were there. So it's a test case of that. Happy accident in many ways, but I now wish I could commission all of them as a complete team to be in from the beginning. Now we've had a go. It had to be literally made of stick and string to just work up the first. We've done the hardest thing. So now, you know, the aim is to work it up into the shape of things to hum, and how the film and the music knit together in the rest of the sequence, and bringing in the other songs from the LP, which I'm going to be doing over the summer. Yeah, well, we've had a go. Yeah, well, we've done the hardest bits.
This was the hardest bit
because it was all unknowns. You know, going back to my geeky NASA equivalents. This would be Apollo 8. So Apollo 8 was the first time that a mission had actually left the orbit of the Earth and went off to the moon. So this is
that figure of 8.
So this is 2 before they actually landed. And so everything was the first spaceship with people on board to leave the Earth, first spaceship to circle around the Earth, first spaceship to return, and all of that. So nothing but first. So everything before that mission was an unknown, and that's a bit like what we had. We had an idea, we had a concept, but total unknowns. We were in uncharted territory.
And there comes a point where you've got to leap.
Absolutely.
Do the maths. Work out the ballistics and then press fire.
And then aim for where you're.
Yeah, which is what we did last night.
Supposed to be. Yes.
So just get up and have a go, and know we can. You know, you and I are so comfortable on stage as well. We could make something out of whatever did or didn't happen, and everybody else, you know, would fall into place. And did you see? Well, you did see the posters by Octopus Farm, out front with the augmented reality. So I designed those as like fake adverts from the future in the video for Behave New World, devised and filmed beautifully by Treehouse Digital. So I adapted them, talking to Mike from Octopus Farm. I think we can get just a hint of AR, because we want to bring AR, augmented reality, really into the full show, much more in the performance. And at the last minute on Friday, he managed to come back after we chewed things over for a few weeks. He came back and said, try this with the swap out. Did you ever go with it on the phone? You did, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, yeah, it was great. And you put it on the phone and then,
Brilliant.
See, I'm thinking we need to kind of like spray tag a whole
that's what Mike said, exactly. You just got
to wander around and get these really ludicrous messages coming up on your phone.
We will try and do more ludicrous messages. Definitely. And Michelle and Mike were just so enthusiastic all the way through. They just got on board and went, we love the values of this, we're just in. And they were really useful. Yes, they built good quality digital stuff quickly and helped me articulate one or two things, but also just the humans that they are. Again, they typified the people who got around this, like you guys.
That's what I think is so important about this project. Like you say, it's the values of this project. because it's not just about doing a performance or showing something or doing something together. It's like, it's talking about, it's like, oh yeah, well you were just talking about a performance, right, that you made, but no, actually the whole concept is so much more than that, and everything feeds into that, and it really is the values that are the foundation of this project, and that's why it's like, wow, can we actually really make this happen? Because it's about transferring and communicating, as storytellers that we are, those values to the audience, but not just going here in your face, getting them to be part of it as well, and that engagement and taking them on a journey and experience, and that's why there's so many different elements involved in it as a multimedia experience. So yeah, those values, having those at the core of this project, that's what makes it,
that's the inspiration,
exceptional and inspirational.
I think it's why everybody's heard an echo of it, which obviously I have. That's why I'm chasing it down, and we've all heard a bit of it. And that's what was wonderful to have it in Talbot Heath School, because the values of that school, the way they're trying to teach their students, just chimed beautifully. They weren't directly involved, but Hayley O'Shea is, you need her in your life. She's so enthusiastic, big welcome into the school, but the values in that beautifully looked after building, the values are there in the way they've looked after that architecture, actually, I would say, but the way Angharad, the head, instills the inspiration in others, it just felt really good to be in that environment doing this, because it fits.
Yeah, absolutely.
And man, seeing everybody in the eye masks and actually awkwardly holding hands.
They did it!
I'm so made up that happened. We got them to do it, and yeah, it worked a treat.
And they stood there for ages.
They did, and that made it better. It got more, and then they got through the awkwardness, and then it was sort of okay. And now I'm quite relaxing into it. And one or two people didn't. And at one point, I was thinking, do we? You know, we both. I could tell we were both sensing. Do we try and quieten them down? And then, sort of, I was thinking, those who were really awkward, actually let it play out. Let them play through the awkwardness of standing there with strangers, blind, holding hands. Yeah, it was delicious to watch, and had the effect I wanted.
We were there on stage with everybody live going, it's working. It's working.
Because it was, like you were saying, it's about stepping through the kind of the physicality of something to reconnect mind with body is one of the things that's sort of coming out, I think, for me with Unsee the Future, the podcast, and how that's a big part of our disconnection, or how it works out itself, chicken and egg really, and how it's all about, our education system is all about the head, and doesn't think about how we process, manage feelings, and use creativity to manage those feelings, and involve the body. And so last night, to step physically out of your comfort zone, close your eyes, hold hands, that'll be a memory unlike any other normal concert, which is what you can do at that level. When you're making it out of stick and string, you can get an audience to do that. When you're filling at the O2 Arena, great to have that budget and actually have spaceships and things, but it would probably have less impact actually than that intimate, this is the homemade thing, where we hold hands.
And let's face it, if we can get British people to hold hands and wear masks, you can do this anywhere.
And that's the power of art, my friend.
The power of art.
The power of art. So so that was 5 songs to help us unsee the future. We've done it, and now we've got to work out what we're doing next with it. Thank you if you came along and you're watching this. I can't thank you enough for taking the time out of a Sunday night to just try this experimental thing and be open to it. And if you missed it, then obviously we'll be putting together a whole film and a package of this. There'll be ways to catch up with it, and over the summer we're going to put together a way to then we're going to work out how we take this to the next level, which was always the plan. And now, you know, as you said, 5 songs. She was a good ship. She got us to the big ship now that we're trying to build, which is the shape of things to hum, and that was always the plan. And now we can reveal it and talk about it. And so I'll be working on the album over the summer. You'll be doing some sessions. We're going to devise how we make the Martian artist, and how we can involve you and others who want to get involved and turn this into a thing. And take it round. We've got some ideas.
Take it round the planet.
Take it round the planet.
To Mars.
To Mars.
Take it to Mars.
Take it to Mars, baby. Yeah. So you know, thanks guys. That first one was fun.
It's been a pleasure.
What should we do as a kind of punchline out gesture? Is a high five wrong? Is it a hug? What's the... Oh, it's that.